Julian was born in the year 331 into an ambitious, murderous, and thoroughly Christian family. The city of his birth was Constantinople, founded a few years earlier as the new Roman capital by his uncle Constantine, and dedicated to the glory of Jesus Christ. The fact that Julian, as emperor, would become one of the greatest enemies the church had ever known would have shocked his family if any of them had survived long enough to see him take the throne. No one would have been more disappointed and angrier at Julian than Constantine himself, the man who 2 decades before his nephew's birth had become the first Christian emperor of Rome. Constantine's embrace of the new faith had profound implications for the future of the empire, all the more because Christianity was still a divided and struggling sect that had won over no more than a small minority of the population in the 3 centuries since it had been established in a poor and troubled corner of the Roman world. The Romans always had a grudging respect for the Jews because of their ancient traditions and disciplined morality. However, this did not stop Roman legions from making war on the Jews and enforcing a harsh and brutal peace in Palestine. Violence was commonplace, and rebellion against Roman authority was met with a swift and merciless response. It was in this troubled land that Yeshua bar Yosef, known later as Jesus, conducted his brief ministry as a traveling rabbi and healer. When he was crucified in Jerusalem under the Roman governor Pontius Pilate during the reign of the Emperor Tiberius, he was dismissed as yet another rebel who would soon be forgotten. But to the small group of his Jewish followers who claimed he had risen from the dead, he was divine. Starting in Jerusalem, they spread their new religion, which grew and was soon embraced by non-Jews through the efforts of wandering missionaries, such as Paul of Tarsus, who established communities of Christians in towns and cities around the Mediterranean and beyond. The followers of Jesus met in the homes of the new wealthy members of local congregations for fellowship, instruction, and a sacred meal, practices that reflected a pattern common to many religious groups of the time. But unlike adherents of many other sacred organizations, the Christians were known for welcoming women and slaves into their community, as well as for their acts of public, universal charity in a world in which the untended poor routinely starved to death. But Christians soon ran into trouble with the government for their refusal to sacrifice to the emperor and the gods of Rome. This was not a spiritual failing in the eyes of the Romans, who tended to be tolerant of religious differences among their subjects, but an act of civil rebellion against the emperor that threatened the harmony of the larger community. The failure to sacrifice to the emperor was tantamount to rejecting the authority that held civilization together in a hostile world.